Brownsville Independent School District's Board of Trustees special call board meeting for today, June 27, 2006 at 5:30 p.m. at the Administration Building. We'll move on to moment of silence and pledge of allegiance. Will everyone please rise? We'll also like to take a moment to honor and give our condolences to the Menchaca family. We lost one of our students and one of our military heroes, Christian Menchaca.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one and indivisible.
Yes, sir. Let me just get roll call real quick, Doc. Roll call. Everyone is present for tonight's meeting. Dr. Salkowski, you want a few comments?
Just on Christian Menchaca, the rosary's tonight at 7 o'clock, and then the funeral's tomorrow at 10 o'clock at the Brownsville Event Center. Just a reminder. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We move on to item 5, recommend approving the agenda of the special call board meeting of June 27, 2006 with any deletions, Doctor.
No deletions at this time.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Move. I second.
There's a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor signify by raising your hand, saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Move on to item 6, Superintendent's Report. A, Conference Presentation Number 1, Presentation of the Brownsville Independent School District's 2006-2007's proposed budget and proposed tax rate. Doctor.
We have put together a balanced budget. As you approach the book, there were a couple of things we had to juggle around, but it is a balanced budget. With the 4,500 in there, with all the things we recommended, and as you know, when you gave, and we approached and proposed 4,500, we had to come up with the other money, the FICA, the other benefits, TRS, which increased due to the amount of the salary. So all of it is in the budget currently. Is that correct, Mr. Sanchez?
Mr. Lehman, board members, Dr. Stokowski, yes, sir, that is correct. I would like to just kind of briefly mention again, as I did at the budget meeting, that for members of the audience that may be here or were not here, we need to be cognizant of the fact that the legislature did, in fact, lower property taxes, and our property taxes, we have a property tax of $1.4856. The M&O side of that is $1.43. For this coming year, we were to reduce our taxes to the level of 88.67%, which is $1.27 for us. Next year, we're supposed to lower it to the 66th percentile, which will get us down to about 96%. Now, 96 cents, I'm sorry. That is significant, and you need to think about that, because while they were doing this, they also gave the local school districts the opportunity to raise taxes by 4 pennies, but not at a level, and without voter approval, but not at a level that combines it with Brownsville property tax values. They refer back to Austin ISD, and Austin ISD brings in a higher yield per penny. So what does that translate to? Brownsville ISD translates to about roughly $11 million per year, or $22 million over the next biennium. Keep that in mind. This meeting, we're not going to discuss tax rates. All we're going to do is discuss the budget. Tax rate will come up maybe late August or September.
Just a footnote, when the 4 cents does come up, because of the 17 million we feel like we will lose from the state, it would behoove the school district go get that 4 cents and offset that loss by getting that 11 million back. So it'll come up in August or September, and it's something you really have to offset this loss with this new finance system.
It's 4 and 2, isn't it?
Excuse me?
Another 2 cents? Isn't it 4 and 2?
Four pennies.
4
It's
pennies.
4 each year, but they refer to a 4 plus 2.
No, sir. We actually take our 4 pennies, anything above those 4 pennies, now you have to go back. As long as we don't exceed the rollback, then we have a big margin. In other words, we can work our ways back on the M&O side up to $1.50 if we want to. So we have a lot of what the Constitution calls, or the judges just call discretion. And that's a discretionary funding, so you can go and raise it beyond the 4 pennies. But anytime you get beyond the 4 pennies, now you got to go back to the voter.
It says, House Bill 1 says, if the district's tax rate was below $1.50 in 2005, it may be able to assess the additional 2 cents at the Austin ISD yield without a vote. These additional pennies are not subject to recapture.
Oh, I guess if you wanted to do it 2 pennies this year, 2 pennies the next year.
No, that's additional 2 pennies. I'll show it to you. It's
Okay.
House Bill 1. I've got it here.
I'm not aware of that.
Additional comments?
Just, the total is $451,576,977, just for official.
Question?
Yes, sir.
Yes, on the other source, the 13,697,000, where is that source?
What page?
Sanchez.
All right. Mr. Munoz, when we have 2 programs that we actually have to move monies into those programs. One is athletics, and the other one is special ed. We have to subsidize both of those programs, and that's where you have the 8,000 for athletics, and you have 5,000 for special ed.
You mean
8
8
million.
million?
I'm sorry, 8
and
million.
5
I'm
million.
I am sorry.
So special ed is, we get, I guess we have 24 million in federal or state monies.
And that is not sufficient to support
And we had
the
5,600,000
top
roughly
of
to
that.
make it 30 million. And then athletic we only have operating revenues of 308, and we have a budget of 8,000,004. So this 13,697,000, that is coming from fund balance?
It's coming from, well, it's coming from a transfer, yes.
Fund balance,
Yeah.
okay.
Or regular operating from local resources.
We'll generate that money
Right.
on contact towers for special ed. We'll
It's not
generate
coming
some.
out of fund balance.
It's not?
No, sir.
Because the revenue without this is 437, is 437 million, not 451. I see 437 million from the state, local, and federal. And then other sources make it 451, so the 13,000,007 is really 199, isn't it?
Mr. Sanchez.
I was listening here, I was talking to Tony here, trying to clarify. Would you repeat
Explanation
that
of the
question, sir?
13 million.
I see 337 million coming from local taxes, state taxes, and federal revenues, federal monies. The 13,696, other sources, I believe are coming from 199, is it? Has to. It's not coming from tax.
Yes, it
money,
is.
This year's tax.
Yes, it is. We're reserving that portion to move over for athletics and special ed.
I know, but it's coming from this year's infusion of tax money, local tax monies?
From local and state, yes.
This year's.
This year's.
Okay.
Additional comments? Dr. Solkowski, you were going to say something?
I just wanted to repeat the total for the audience. $451,576,977.
And what is the established tax rate that we're going to have?
This is at our tax rate right
It-
now.
It's going to be
127.
127.57, and you have about 4.5 pennies on the INS side, so it's going to be about $1.32 overall. And the 4 pennies on the INS side is to take care of our local share of EDA and IFA.
Current.
Yes, sir.
So we
Not
still,
include the new-
we still have that 4.9 looking at for the bond issue.
The new bond issue is not
That's
included in
separate.
here. That's separate and apart.
And we'll discuss that later, I guess. Any additional comments?
We'll be
Okay.
happy to answer any questions.
All righty. Then we move on to item 2, public participation to discuss proposed budget and proposed tax rates. If there's anyone that would like to express their comments on the proposed adopted budget for this year coming, 2006, 2007, state your name, go to the podium, and make your comments known, please.
Patrick Amos. First of all, I wanted to make a positive note that at last Thursday's meeting, the civility demonstrated by the board was much more impressive than the previous meetings, and I want to thank you for that, and hopefully we'll see the same positive tenor at future meetings. As for the budget, I told you last Thursday I was disappointed because I put numbers to paper, I'd worked on a speech, came up, and I found out that you were willing to give us that much more money just so you wouldn't have to listen to me talk. Okay? So I do want to thank you for the generous raise of $4,500, and I want to do like I did last Thursday. I want to thank everybody that was responsible, starting with Mr. Pineda and his staff for coming up with the numbers that Mr. Sanchez and Mr. Fuller needed to do the number crunching. Mr. Powers, thank you. Dr. Escobedo, thank you. Mr. Colunga, thank you. Mr. Lehman, thank you. Dr. Z, thank you, and good luck. Ms. Galvan, thank you. Mr. Aguilar, thank you. Mr. Munoz, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Hammonds. Any other?
Beto Medrano, I work for BISD as a GED instructor, and I want to save the best for the last, so I'm going to save it for George. I told you he was my hero and continues to be. He stole some of my thunder last Thursday, and I'll tell you in a minute, but before that I want to thank you all, especially Pat Lehman for the moment of silence for PFC Menchaca. Just as a reminder that we are collecting money at Brownsville Teachers Credit Union, donations for his family that they needed, and also for Linda Avalos from Stillman. The day, her last day of school, she was diagnosed with cancer, so she flew out to MD Anderson. My wife's been in touch with her. Tomorrow we're going to have a little drive there at Stillman Junior High from 3:15 to 4:15. Anybody wants to make a little donation can do so at the time. That's tomorrow, Wednesday. And I also want to thank every board member. I will not thank you individually, but I will thank Rolando Aguilar taking the bull by his horns and really getting after it. And a well-conducted meeting by the chair, Otis Powers. Everybody agreed that we needed the money, and I'm kind of like Cabra Alegria, sad and happy that we didn't get the 5, but you know, we can't be greedy at times, so we're going to settle for that, and knowing that the board knows best. And George Borrego alluded to the fact that some teachers were not gonna retire, and then you're looking at one, George. I was planning to retire, but then I can't leave 4,500 on the table. My mother didn't teach me to be a fool. So Dr. Escobedo, it's all yours. I'm not running for the school board, and I'm happy that we're getting 4,500. Yeah, I know. And I know Dr. Escobedo has stayed here. We're going for 5,000. And I thank Albert for being here. I thank George for being here, and Pat, and Juan, and all those people from the Association of Brownsville Educators. It's good to join because we can work united and we can negotiate. Remember, not fight, but negotiate. You negotiate, and we did this peacefully, and I thank the board from the bottom of my heart. I went to Captain Bob Thursday, I went to Captain Bob Friday, I went to Captain Bob yesterday, and man, I'm already spending my money. I told, you went there, but you didn't catch me. I went to the other one. And I was telling Lorenzo Sanchez that I'm not wearing shoes today because the doctor told me not to. But the heart specialist on Tuesday, I didn't get back to Brownsville at 7:30, said that I was ready to run. And yesterday my doctor, my podiatrist doctor told me that to slow down and just walk. So I plan to walk Sam Stadium, but by hopefully with a pay raise and everything, by next Christmas I'll be able to afford a tie and a coat just like Mr. Sanchez. I'll be way up there with the big guys, and I do want to thank you once again. Working together, that's what we can do. And Rolando, you're my hero also. We went to school together.
Mr. Medrano, here's contribution for Ms. Avalos. You wanna pick it up? Well, I wanted to see if that was true, and apparently you can't walk. And please do not spend it at Captain Bob's, please.
Limp a little. There you go. Make it look good. Get it on camera.
That 504 will get me.
I know. Go down. Go down once. Get it on TV. And we're gonna hook him up to the clinic.
That's the epitome of ballroom dancing, right there. Okay, next person, go ahead and state your name for the
George
record.
Borrego, Association of Brownsville Educators. Beto, you stole my thunder, but fortunately, there's no TV. I guess we're already starting to save money. Yeah. This event should be televised, and we're not televising it. Our teachers are probably going to be waiting to watch the next board meeting, and it ain't going to be on TV. Thank you very much. You can see what working together can do. We need to work on more projects together. Everybody in sync, in one group. I have one little concern, a question to Lorenzo through the chair person, or through Dr. Z.
Go ahead and pose it to the
Sir.
board, and then we'll take on
Okay,
the question.
did we have a typo on the 2% midpoint up?
No, the
'Cause it was
2%.
supposed to be 2% up on the
2% plus
midpoint,
the 6.
plus the 6 and 2%.
It's there. 2 plus 6 and 2 plus 4 are there.
It's in your papers, but not in this one. Okay, that's good. That's what I wanted to make sure about.
It's in there.
Okay, thank you very much. And like I was saying, let's try to work together on other issues. And I thank everybody that's up here that has committed their time and effort, some of it unpaid for, to get to where we got today. A good raise for our teachers and a good raise for our staff. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Borrego. Go ahead, state your name for the record.
Orlando Trevino, private citizen. I was listening briefly, and I was just listening to what Mr. Munoz said. The one thing I would like to, because it will be visited in August or September, if we don't have to go for 4 cents, we can go 2 and 2. I think we're seeing the way the appraisal on all properties going up. 2% starts adding up when you're talking dollar signs. A lot of the people here in Brownsville cannot afford it. So if you can go 2% this year and 2% next year, it would be a lot better, because this way the people can actually save a little. That's my only comment. I appreciate everything else you all are doing, Mr. Board President, board members, and administration. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Trevino. Additional comments? State your name for the record.
Alberto Alegría. Good evening, President Pat Lehman, members of the board, Dr. Salkowski, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Alberto Alegría, the proud president of the Association of Brownsville Educators, 1,800 members strong and growing. The Association of Brownsville Educators would like to thank the administration and the school board, especially Chairman Otis Powers and the Budget Committee, Mr. Rolando Aguilar for paving the way, Mr. Pat Lehman for pushing the envelope for the pay raises that were agreed upon that will take effect on September of 2006 payroll. The Association of Brownsville Educators lobbied the board members and the administration. As we lobbied the administrators, we felt very confident that a compromise would take place for all employees. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Fat Tuesday in BISD. We will continue to recommend that the classified employees receive an equitable pay raise next year, similar to this year's pay raise. For future point reference, For future point reference, the Budget Committee must begin sooner in the year in order to be more informative and collaborative with all interested parties. A possible solution would be for the superintendent and the school board to start planning and strategizing with the largest association in order to implement exclusive consultation to resolve pay raises and benefits for all BISD employees. Last but not least, I and the Association of Brownsville Educators would like to thank Dr. Zarkowski for working cooperatively and allowing an open dialogue for the best interest of our community. Even though some issues were unresolved, such as interest-based problem solving and just cause for provisions for classified, we made significant strides in others, such as the $1,800 pay raise, the $2,000 pay raise, and this year's $2,000 pay raise for teachers, respectively, in the last 3 years, and increasing the pay for classified. Credit should be given to the administration for taking the lead in promoting the bond proposition. With the help of board members and the Brownsville Unions Coalition, the passing of the bond proposition was a complete success. We, the Association of Brownsville Educators, would like to continue the same commitment from the interim, if indeed it actually happens. There's no better prescription for an ailment than working together for the benefit of all BISD employees and students. With the Association of Brownsville Educators affiliated with Texas State Teachers Association and the National Education Association, 3.2 million members, we wish Dr. Zarkowski and his family the best is in his endeavor pursuing his new position in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Dr. Zarkowski, with all due respect, sir, let me be the first to refer to you by your new surname. You are now officially an Okie. Again, we thank you for your hard work in these last 3 years, 3 years and a half with the Brownsville Independent School District. Again, I thank you and good luck.
Thank you, Mr. Alegria. Any additional comments from the public? Okay, thank you very much. We now move on to item 7, consent agenda. We'll take items 3 and 4 individually, and I think we'll open them up for discussion, so I'll read them individually. A, recommend approval of the following general function items. 3, recommend approval of the 2006-2007 compensation plan that includes a new teacher hiring schedule denoting a $4,500 raise for all current teachers, a 6% raise based on the new established midpoint for classified employees, and a 4% raise from the new established midpoint for administrators. Classified employees who exceed the maximum point on a pay scale will receive 75% of the approved raise. Do I have a motion to approve?
Move. I second.
There's a motion to approve and a second. Discussion. Anyone who want to comment on item number 3? Okay, I have one comment. Reviewing, and I don't know how that would apply to the compensation plan. One item that we forgot, or I guess we did not discuss, was perfect attendance. And I was running some numbers. Would that be proper, Counselor, to discuss perfect attendance, or should we pick it up on the on item 4?
It would be more appropriate in item 4,
Okay.
I believe.
Then I'll do that. I'll hold back. Any further comments on item number 3? Okay. There's a motion, a second, to recommend approving item 3. All those in favor signify by raising your hand, saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item 4, recommend adopting of the Brownsville Independent School District's 2006-2007's budget. Is there a motion to approve?
Move.
There's a motion to approve item 4. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second to approve. Discussion. Anyone wants to start? Any comments? Then I will follow up on the on that item on the perfect attendance. Dr. Zarkowski, what was the reason for not? And I apologize. It slipped by me on the conference presentations when we had the budget review meetings. What would be the impact on the perfect attendance?
On perfect attendance, you'll lose money. I've done a perfect attendance program maybe 5 times, 3 different ways. what happens is if you put a perfect attendance award, people that miss, after they no longer qualify for the money, they don't have the same zest for it. And so you'd have to budget some money because the money that you'll save, you will give back plus some. My experience, I didn't know it was, no one had told me. We had looked at it about 6 months ago. I think Mr. Sanchez and I talked about it, looked at different ways of doing it. I can give you 3 or 4 different methods. Number one, I've used one that if you miss snow days, you got $500. You missed 1 day, you got $450. You missed 2, all the way to 3. What happens is after they miss 3 days, they give up. They go ahead and take 20. So your subs kick in, and you've got to figure the cost of those subs versus the money you're paying out. If you can't save it, it's a negative. I also did a campus one time. We decided that a campus, that everyone would be rewarded for the elementaries that had the best attendance, and that accounted the teachers, the principal, custodian, and so they worked. What happened is half of the campuses who had good attendance felt good about it, and if you were a place that had a lot of people absent, you kind of gave up, and their attendance really went high, which offset any kind of savings that you made. I've even given 2 free trips anywhere in the United States for perfect attendance drawing. I've used everything under the sun. I can tell you that usually the first year you break even at best. The second year you will lose money. And so, you know, the teachers received a $4,500 raise. I know they're going to come and they're going to be okay.
And Doctor, what is the on the overtime? I mean, this is effectively to tackle not overtime, but the
Subs.
the substitution or the substitute schedule. What is the current budget for substitutes?
Mr. Sanchez.
What are we budgeting this year?
Mr. Sanchez, what do we budget for subs?
About 3.8 million.
3.8 million.
Okay, 3.8. And okay, because figures, I think you gave us a report last year. You ready? Okay, 2002, 2003, 4.4, 2003 through 2004, over 5 million, and then it stayed at over 5 million. So,
Excuse me, I was figuring out what it would be. If no one missed in the school district, that 3.8 million would be 1,085. That would be another $1,100 per teacher.
The 3.8 is a local share, and then you have federal, so they share in that substitute cost as well. But the
So
3.8 figure I gave you was
would be our
199.
impacted.
Yes, sir.
So if we were to give even $1,000 direct, that equates to about $1,000 per teacher. At
But
3,200 teachers.
I've asked Mr. Fuller to, when they did have it, approximately how much money they had set aside. I think it was what, 2 million, approximately about 2 million. And I think back when it was in force, it was $750, I think, per semester.
Well, it was designed to trickle down maybe 1 and 2 and 3 misses.
I don't know.
I would propose
I'm not familiar
what
with
it
it.
stands for, a perfect attendance. It's those that don't miss get it. And but anyway, something to look at. My question would be, can this be incorporated as far as we go through the year?
You would have to take that money out of the reserve and do it before the first day of school if you're doing it for teachers or if you're doing it for all employees. I will tell you, you're going to spend half of that 3.8 million because you have coaches that go to tournaments, you have people who are on official business that we get subs for, so you can never correct for that. That's an automatic substitute cost because we know we have games, we have coaches and band directors, student tennis, we have people who are going to be out, we have teachers going to workshops. Those you can never recover. So that sub money will be spent. So of that 3.8, you're not going to recover all of that 3.8. The second thing is that you can put anything in you so desire, but you better back it with your reserve because you're going to spend some money. I guarantee you.
Well, it's how you structure it. But anyway, I would like to at a later date
Look at it.
look at it, and we're not bound by adopting the budget that we can bring it back.
No.
We're not bound by law.
No, you can add it as an addendum.
Okay. Right. I just want to make sure that we didn't adopt the teacher. I mean, I would not have to do anything with the teacher's pay schedule, but that was my concern. Okay, so we can at a later date revisit. Okay, great. Any further comments?
Yes.
Yes, sir, Mr. Munoz?
One of the public speakers tonight mentioned something about the budgetary process starting earlier. I fully agree with that. Part of May and June is entirely too compressed as far as I'm concerned. TASB suggests that the budgetary process begin in January, and they were referring to a August 31st budget, which we're 2 months to the left of that. So it seems pretty amazing that you might start in November or December, but I think if we started in January, we wouldn't be asking questions like the president just brought up. We'd have time to fully explore that question and others. There are some questions that I felt were not fully explored. I'm not going to be alarmist because we do have a balanced budget. So in that sense, I'm not that concerned. But I do feel like we were not able to look at all the details of the budget with the time allowed.
Additional comment? Yes, sir, Mr. Aguilar.
Yeah, and I agree with my colleague, Mr. Munoz. We're ready to go on with the start of the new school year, and I sure hate to go and start changing budgets at the last minute. To me, it's best that we start looking for next year. It's not that we don't want to reward those people that have perfect attendance or any other incentive that we might have for the school district. But if we were to start earlier in the year, we can add all of these incentives, not only for attendance, but for also perhaps academic achievements on campus, just like the state that does. I would much rather prefer to reward them for academic achievement performance than attendance. Perfect attendance was generated way back in the 70s, I believe. Tony, I don't know if I can go that far. And the whole intent was to reduce the substitute pay. Well, from 700 something at that time went to $1 million. The following year went to $2 million of substitutes. We could never catch up with that amount to cover the cost of substitute. And so I'd rather let the administration do the research and come up with better numbers than to rush into things and later on not spend money wisely as we've always been doing, which I'm very proud of the board. So I concur with Mr. Munoz and even the association that we start looking earlier for some of these programs. I believe our personnel have been rewarded justly this time around, and there's something to look forward to for next year. Thank you.
Additional comments? Dr. Solkowski, just for the record, our budget last year was at 417?
415.
415? So the 36 million increase, what is that attributed to in a nutshell?
Part of it is going to be the transportation cost. I'm going to say the raises were, I think, in the neighborhood of over 20, plus you got about 2.3 to 2.5 for the benefits that weren't in the original raise. What else did I leave out, Mr. Sanchez? That's insurance increases. That's right, the insurance, property insurance.
Your federal programs, we had some slight increase in your federal programs also, all the entitlements. But basically, that's correct. For any time you raise the bar on salaries, you need to just kind of think of a percentage. It's about another 15% for fringe benefits, unemployment, workers' comp, et cetera, et cetera. So it does add up very quickly.
Could you give me a breakdown, just for my own indulgence, on the 36 million? Bird's eye view. Whenever you have time.
Okay, fine.
Also, tab 3. Going to the,
Here it is here.
Got it.
well, the proposed expenditures of all funds. Of course, I like to look at the maintenance and operation, which is 51 function.
Right.
That has increased, I guess, we've increased the allocation of supplies and operation costs.
9%.
So it was
9%.
in the past, it was very negligent or negligible, the amounts that we were budgeting. So I commend.
Part of it is that just concrete and ADA and different things that we're doing.
Okay, so I like this. I'm glad that we were beefing that up. So, any further comments? Okay, then there's a motion and a second to adopt the school district's 2006, 2007's budget. All those in favor signify by raising your hand, saying aye. Motion carries. Okay, move on to item 8, closed meeting as pursuant to the Texas Government Code, section 551, 551.071, 551.072, 551.074, 551.082, and 551.084. Board goes into closed meeting.
We cut it out. We cut it out.
Personally, I think personally, they're charging attendance.
Means from personnel matters to Tier 5, recommend approval of consideration possible retirement of the superintendent. No action will be taken. Move on to item 9, announcements. 6, next scheduled board meeting of the Board of Trustees is on Tuesday, July 18th, 2006 at the Administration Building at 5:30, but we do have a special call. Well, that's it. Thursday at this Thursday,
29th.
the 29th.
5:30.
At 5:30 here at the Administration Building. Any other comments, Doc?
No, sir.
Okay, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Motion to adjourn, there's a there's a motion to adjourn and a second. All those in favor signify by raising your hand, saying aye. Aye, motion carries. Good night, thank you.